bothered her because he was hot, and she was sorry she'd noticed. He tipped his head toward Noah. "I meant your baby," he clarified. "Cute kid."
"Thank you."
She looked away from the man, hoping it was the end of their brief conversation. It wasn't. "He's what, 7, 8 months old?"
8,
she provided. "He reminds me a little of my nephew," the man continued. "It must be hard, traveling alone with a baby." That brought Marin's attention racing across the car. What had provoked that remark? She searched his face and his eyes almost frantically, trying to figure out if it was some sort of veiled threat. He held up his hands, and a nervous laugh sounded from deep within his chest. "Sorry, didn't mean to alarm you. It's just I noticed you're wearing a medical alert bracelet." Marin glanced down at her left wrist. The almond-shaped metal disc was peeking out from the cuff of her sleeve. With its classic caduceus symbol engraved in crimson, it was like his boots, impossible to miss.
"I'm epileptic," she said.
"Oh." Concern dripped from the word.
"Don't worry," she countered. "I keep my seizures under control with meds. I haven't had one in over 5 years." She immediately wondered why in the name of heaven she'd volunteered that personal information. Her medical history wasn't any of his business. It was a sore spot she didn't want to discuss. "Is your epilepsy the reason you took the train?" he asked. "I mean, instead of driving?" Marin frowned at him. "I thought the train would make the trip easier for my son."
He nodded, apparently satisfied with her answer to his intrusive question. When his attention strayed back in the general direction of her bracelet, Marin followed his gaze, down to her hand, all the way to her bare ring finger. Even though her former fiancé, Randall Davidson, had asked her to marry him, he'd never given her an engagement ring. It had been an empty, bare gesture, a thought that riled her even now. Randall's betrayal had cut her to the bone. Shifting Noah into the crook of her arm, she reached down to collect her diaper bag.
"I think I'll go for a little walk and stretch my legs."
"And change seats," she silently added. Judging from the passengers she'd seen get on and off, the train wasn't crowded, so moving into coach seating shouldn't be a problem. In fact, she should have done it sooner. "I'm sorry," he said. "I made you uncomfortable with my questions." His words stopped her because they were sincere. Or at least, he sounded that way. Of course, she'd been wrong before. It would take another lifetime or two for her to trust her instincts. And that was the reason she reached for the bag again. "Stay, please," he insisted. "It'll be easier for me to move." He got up, headed for the exit, and then stopped, turning back around to face her. "I was hitting on you." Marin blinked.
"You... what?"
"Hitting on you," he clarified. "Oh." That took her a few moments to process.
"Really?"
Marin asked, sounding far more surprised than she wanted. He chuckled, something low, husky, and male, something that trickled through her like expensive, warm whiskey. "Really?" But then the lightheartedness faded from his eyes, and his jaw muscles started to stir. "I shouldn't have done it. Sorry." Again, he seemed sincere. So maybe he wasn't watching her after all. Well, not for surveillance, anyway. Maybe he was watching her because she was a woman. Odd that she'd forgotten all about basic human attraction and lust.
"You don't have to leave,"
Marin let him know. Because she suddenly didn't know what to do with her fidgety hands, she ran her fingers through Noah's dark blonde curls.
"Besides, it won't be long before we're in San Antonio."
He nodded, and it had an air of thankfulness to it. "I'm Quinn Bacelli.